We are back here on Girl Talk. We are in the town of Beaufort, Beaufort Memorial Hospital. We love coming here. We are talking today to Erin Scott. I'm really excited about this because we're talking about, you are a nurse practitioner, and she's a board certified nurse practitioner, so it's great to have you captive. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I want to ask you a little bit about your practice and your background, because for me, nurse practitioner is something that I've always wanted to do, and I think it has a huge place in healthcare these days.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about your background and what a nurse practitioner does.
Okay. A nurse practitioner is generally a registered nurse who has generally has experience out working in the community, who decides to go back to school. Go back to school for usually 2 to 3 years for your master's and a certification in some general population. Typically, it's family practice or adult nurse practitioner, which is what I do.
You do. Okay.
Anywhere from geriatrics up to acute care nurse practitioners.
What does that look like for me, the potential patient? You're in a multidisciplinary practice.
I am.
Let's talk about that first. What does that look like? What is that?
The multidisciplinary practice, we're all under one roof.
Okay.
All under one same computer system.
Okay.
So you can see anyone from primary care over to, we have neurologists, we have cardiologists, we have gastroenterology, and we have gynecology.
So for lack of a better word, it's almost one-stop shopping. It means that you're all tied into the same system, which for me as a patient would seem to be a really wise thing.
Definitely. We have access to, if you went to see the gastroenterologist last week, I would have access to his notes, so I would be able to read what they did, what you guys talked about, and what was the plan if something was going on.
I grew up in a medical family, and nurse practitioners were wonderful primary care people to see. Do you have a practice, and who do you actually see?
I do. I work in family practice with my supervising physician, Dr. Floyd, and we see, I see anyone from usually 12 and up.
Here's the big question for you. Okay, you guys, we're getting into flu season.
Right.
Which I used to blow off, to be honest with you.
Right.
But now I hear so much, again, as about the younger population and then about the aging population and flu shots. What's the advice you give us for flu shots, and what are some of the myths that are out there?
Well, one of the big myths that we hear and we see a lot is that I can't get the flu shot because it'll give me the flu.
Give me the flu, right.
Or I got the flu the last time I got the flu shot. And it doesn't.
Right, you're like baloney.
Right, and that's, you can get, a lot of times after you get the flu, you might feel a little achy or a little low-grade fever, and sometimes people might mistake that for the flu. But the flu virus itself is an inactivated virus, and so it can't give you the flu.
When do we get our shots?
You can get it now.
Oh, can you? Okay.
So we've actually already seen the flu in the community. They've seen flu in the hospital.
Oh, have they really?
So typically flu season starts in October and then can run all the way through May.
Erin, do I need a prescription to get the flu shot?
You don't. Actually, you can go to any pharmacy to get the flu shot. You can go typically to your primary care office, and they have it. I would always check with them first because they can go fast.
Let me ask you, I know you see an adult population, and this is sort of throwing a wrench into everything we were going to talk about, but I'm really curious about it, and that is the shingles vaccination, since we're talking about vaccinations.
Right.
Is that something that you encourage people as they get older to get also? I keep hearing about it.
We definitely talk about it. It's indicated for 60 and over. So anyone
Oh, how appropriate.
This is why you brought that up.
Yeah, exactly. Just saying.
So anyone who's 60, anyone who has had the chicken pox as a child is at risk for getting shingles. It's a reactivation of the chicken pox vaccine. Of the chicken pox virus, excuse me.
Go ahead.
So anyway, it's a one-time shot. So I would talk with your healthcare provider.
Well, let's talk about you being a healthcare provider now. So if you are our healthcare provider, what does that look like? Do you encourage us to come in as your patient once a year, or how does that work in today's world?
Definitely once a year. I like to see my patients if they're not on any medications or medication that can be we don't have to monitor frequently. Then once a year is good. I like to do routine labs every year. We like to make sure you're up to date on depending on your age, your GYN exams or your mammograms, colonoscopies, that kind of thing. So it's always kind of good to be plugged in with somebody instead of waiting for there to be a problem.
I think for me, and let me know your thoughts on this, is my goal in coming to you, Erin Scott, would be to develop a relationship so that you kind of would have I don't know how to say it eloquently, a baseline. So if something was a little bit abnormal, you would have an indication.
Definitely.
Is that one of the strengths?
I think that's good. I think nurse practitioners do a pretty good job of developing relationships with their patients. More so, medically, obviously, that's very important too, but personally, and getting to know the person, the patient as a person.
Have you enjoyed having a practice?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It makes a lot of sense.
It's fun. Yeah.
Is it really? It's wonderful.
We have a fun practice.
All right. If we want to have you as our nurse practitioner or be part of the practice in general, how do we reach you and how do we make an appointment?
You can call us anytime at Low Country Medical Group, 843-770-0404. And there should be operators there that can help set you up with, whoever you would need to see.
You have to come back and talk to us because this is your first time on Girl Talk, and now you see it's kind of fun.
It's fun.
We want to thank you. We want to thank all of you for joining us here today at Beaufort Memorial Hospital on Girl Talk. Have a great week. Bye-bye now.
Bye.